Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Decision Makers Show, where we help you make the wisest and most profitable decisions. My name is Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. I'm the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts, the future work consultancy that sponsors the Wise Decision Makers Show. And I'm joined today by Katrina. Katrina, can you please share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely, Dr. Gleb. Thank you so much for asking. My name is Katrina Williams. I have the privilege of leading CDW's Sales Integrated Tech and Coworker Capability function. My team and I are responsible for ensuring that CDW's coworkers have the skills and disciplines necessary to be successful today and in the future.
Talking about in the future, tell me a little bit about your journey of generative AI adoption. Where are you now, and how have you come there?
Yes,
Internally first.
I love that question so much. I tend to be an early adopter of
Mhm.
technology and all things technology myself and incredibly intrigued by it. So the journey has been a fantastic one, one that
Mhm.
started pretty early on as generative AI began to really gain some momentum. In
Mhm.
some ways that I had started to work with Gen AI right at the beginning were with some simpler things, right? Helping
Okay.
to use generative AI to help me think through something.
Mhm.
It's such a great way to get perhaps a little bit of a different perspective than I
Mm.
could come up with only thinking through something on my own.
Mhm.
So just putting a prompt in to see what I might get and
Mhm.
how it might help me think a little bit differently. There's also some really unique opportunities with generative AI, even in its most simple use,
Mhm.
for looking for little points of efficiency. So where
Mhm.
we might have had some an activity in our work that might have taken a few hours to complete if we were going to
Mhm.
go at it alone, when it's something that is actually a very standardized process and we just need to create a job aid or a
Mhm.
tool to help with step by step, leverage generative AI to go ahead and issue a prompt that says create
Mhm.
a step by step for. It's
Nice.
a way to reduce friction and create efficiency in things that actually are quite standard. And
Mhm.
that really allows us to then refocus and have the human brain working on things that we need the human brain to
Mhm.
work on. So one of the things that I've really adopted in my own work in the team is making sure we have the right resource on the right work. And the
Mhm.
resource isn't always a human resource. And so that's how it really started. Now
Mhm.
we're into some really neat and innovative things along the
Mhm.
journey as it relates to AI. And just starting to dabble in some things as well. But thinking about how can we leverage AI as a coach?
Mhm.
And input into AI what great looks like in something, and then
Mhm.
allow it to evaluate
Mhm.
different bodies of work that we might be doing, or provide coaching in a scenario. Because if we've shared with AI what great looks like, then it can evaluate against that.
Mhm.
And so, also looking for points of optimization and being able to give people feedback in a very immediate type of a fashion.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, I know that often employees are reluctant, hesitant, worried about generative AI adoption. What have you done to figure out their worries and then address them?
Yeah, so I think the worries will continue to evolve just as much
Mhm.
as the technology and the use cases will. But I think one of the most common things is the concern that AI actually takes jobs.
Mhm.
I actually think AI is an enabler to an innovation in a job, an
Mhm.
evolution of a job, not a replacement for a job.
Mhm.
And so I try to encourage those to think about what they could do if
Mhm.
perhaps more of that repetitive work, the things that humans actually
Mhm.
usually don't love doing about their
Yeah.
job, right? What if AI could do those things for you? What would you fill that time with? How does this
Mhm.
help you to become more efficient, drive greater results, and help them think about it in that perspective? Um,
Mhm.
and I honestly think that there's a bit of, it's not so much that generative AI is going to take your job. But I do think that those who are not able to consider how AI will help them be better at their job may find that they're actually left behind a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's those who understand the opportunity that AI presents and find a way to evolve their work through the use of AI
Mhm.
are actually going to thrive.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, how did you establish your policies around generative AI? I know a number of companies have struggled. Samsung at first banned the use of ChatGPT because some of the engineers at Samsung uploaded code into ChatGPT, which then got integrated into their training, and that was a problem. How did you develop your policies around generative AI to address people's concerns around data privacy, security, bias, hallucinations, and so on?
Absolutely. This is such an important topic. And I would say that it's always evolving here.
Hmm.
Much with the technology and the use cases evolving, this is something we always have to evolve as well. And we also don't want it to be something that ends up being a book of what not to do only, because
Hmm.
we do want people to embrace it and explore. And so, how do we demystify and provide guardrails versus complete shutdowns and lockdowns and
Yeah.
things? However, with that, we do have a right to protect our customer data, our coworker
Hmm.
data, our intellectual property. And so, what we did, our technology team did early on, and just some great minds internally working on this, was to actually create safe generative AI environments for us that
Hmm.
were behind the security of our organization,
Hmm.
and therefore keeping the information internal, right?
Hmm.
And allowing the generative AI tools to comb, right, our own
Hmm.
information to be able to help to serve things up. An example of this is our intranet, right? It can comb our intranet,
Hmm. Hmm.
SharePoint sites, everything else. And one of our sales professionals could go in and ask generative AI for a specific piece of information about a solution that
Hmm.
CDW provides. And the tool would go ahead and provide that to the sales professional.
Hmm.
Whereas the sales professional before may have gone into a SharePoint, investigation of trying to find
Hmm.
where the document
Yeah.
was. It does create efficiency that way, and it still is a very useful way to think of how we might use generative AI and have it as a use case internally, but then also protect the information that's shared, right?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think oftentimes, I think there's a lot of generative AI benefit for things in like a talent assessment, identifying right
Hmm.
questions to ask as it pertains to perhaps a particular job description for an interview, right?
Hmm.
We would want that to remain, kind of in
Hmm.
our protected environment
Yeah.
instead of all of a sudden having interview guides out there for general
Sure.
consumption. Um, so they created these internally safe
Hmm.
generative AI tools that we can use, and we've leveraged quite well. And policies are always evolving. We've taken the approach of here's kind of our ethical AI use guidelines,
Hmm.
right, and policy for all coworkers. We also understand that there are niche ways certain functions within an
Hmm.
organization could really benefit from the use of AI. So we also take an approach where we have some functional specific AI guidelines as it relates directly to the work of that particular part of the organization. So general guidelines, we talk about ethical use. There's some really neat things you can do with AI where we might be speaking to each other and looking at our video image and hearing our voice, but that could actually be AI, right? How do you
Hmm.
use that ethically, and what does that look like? And how do you secure all of the right approvals and permissions to do so? So we want to make sure that we have all of those things in place, and talk really about how we ethically use it,
Hmm.
and provide those guide rails, and then take the approach of speaking very specifically about the work of a particular function and what does AI use within that function look like.
And how do you train people on generative AI within CDW? I know some folks use an approach of bringing in external facilitators to do workshops. Some people do internal LMS systems. Some people use peer mentoring approaches. I'm curious what your approach is to training people on generative AI usage.
Yeah, so that's a great question and something that's near and dear to my heart with what I do for the organization and has been a passion of mine. We are actually about to launch something here called the AI Academy, and it will
Hmm.
cover all of those things. And it's a bit of a hybrid of what you talked about. There's
Hmm.
certainly some external points of view and expertise that are valuable for our coworkers to hear about, and we want to make sure that they have access to that information, the benefit of learning from that. We also have internally curated content ourselves as well. We
Hmm.
do have some AI subject matter experts on the team, and they've been of great help in us building some of our own custom
Hmm.
content. And then we also have put into place some really neat one of the things with AI to demystify it a bit is to get everyone to just go and explore it, right, in a
Yeah.
safe and guided environment. So we've built what we call the 25-day AI challenge. And what we're asking, we guide our coworkers for 25 days in a micro learning about a different AI use.
Hmm.
And then we ask that they go that same day and explore it in their own
Huh.
work. And so do a micro learning and then go apply it.
Hmm.
At the end of each day, we have a reflection exercise for our coworkers as well that says a little bit about, okay, let's take a step back now and let's recognize what were some of the
Hmm.
benefits we gained from doing that? What were some of the challenges that we faced? And just just for their own self-assessment, like how did
Hmm.
that go and how might you incorporate this into your work on a regular basis? And so that's been a lot of fun to look at and to build. And our hope with that is that it just allows coworkers to practice a little bit, explore, learn a bit more in a manner that's
Hmm.
very consumable. Everybody could take a few minutes every day, right? So it won't feel
Hmm.
overwhelming. It's not something that anyone could feel might be a distraction from the work that they have to accomplish that day, but yet see it as an opportunity to learn something in a bite-sized bit that our hopes are help to actually optimize their work.
That makes sense. Microlearning is a great learning strategy. Now, how you, of course, also build generative AI into solutions for your clients. So tell me a little bit more about how you're providing solutions to your clients that are informed by generative AI.
Yes, absolutely. So that is a unique position that we have because not only are we
Hmm.
users of the technology, but we're also a solution provider of the
Hmm.
technology to help our customers also think about how AI can help them to accomplish the objectives they have. There's
Yeah.
a few different areas that we're focusing in. One of the first biggest areas is speaking with our clients about how to help their organizations become AI ready. There
Hmm.
are some real infrastructure and processing power, needs that come along with truly implementing an AI
Hmm.
solution. You have your client facing, you're right. You have your Windows 11, laptops and devices and things like that that are right on the edge, right with the end user. But as we think
Hmm.
about truly having an AI strategy inside of an organization and leveraging it, there are some real infrastructure implications, right? So,
Hmm.
how do we help our customers understand how they might evolve their own internal technical
Hmm.
infrastructure to really be at a nice, not only AI ready place, but also
Hmm.
be positioned well for the growth that is yet to come from AI? So that's one of the ways we talk about it. The other piece is AI really has the power to transform organizations and the way we do things. And so we do have a consulting arm of our business that helps
Hmm.
our clients really look at how AI could transform their business and what does that mean
Hmm.
for them from a technical perspective. So having an AI ready organization is one thing. Being an organization that is going to have AI help to transform
Yeah.
them is another. And so a multi-level approach in how we consult with our clients in regards to their own AI strategy and approach. And our goal is really to not be someone that just drops in and helps
Hmm.
them with what that client computing might be, the technology right
Hmm.
on the edge. We don't just want to help you with your infrastructure, but we really want to be a partner of yours that thinks
Hmm.
full life cycle about how
Hmm.
do we really help you to fully think through what the longer term AI strategy within your organization is going to be and then
Mhm.
ensure that your technical environment is set up for success with that.
So let's talk about the technical and structural environment. Of course, those are two interrelated things. The technical side of things and how your client is structured. How do you make sure to help your clients address their technical challenges while addressing also the structural challenges? Because you think about AI governance structure, data privacy,
Mm,
cybersecurity, those risks, and also some of the psychological concerns. We talked about the barriers that their employees might have about AI, jobs, loss,
yes.
and change management. How do you address the technical issues while also addressing the structural and psychological ones, especially with the
Yeah.
consulting arm? Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question, and it's absolutely with the consulting arm and having some really highly qualified professionals that are
Mhm.
there and in it with our customers to talk about their unique situations and where their environments are and what that might mean for them. We also want to just be a good kind of corporate partner, right, with
Mhm.
our customers as well, and talk about how we're addressing some of these same things. Like we're not
Mhm.
unique, they're not unique. We're all, we might be at different places, right, in the journey, but we're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
And so also being able to share, what it is that we're doing, what are some of our
Mhm.
technical partners doing, creating a bit of a sense of community where we're like
Mhm.
in it together to
Yeah.
support each other, right? So yes, be there as a consultant, bringing some of the best experts we
Mhm.
possibly can to the table to help them create the specific plan for their team, but also be willing to share what our own experience has
Mhm.
been in that as well. And that's everything from, our conversations with, like our CISO loves to be able
Mhm.
to be engaged with our customers and
Mhm.
talking about the things we're doing and having this like reciprocal learning that's taking
Mhm.
place. And our CTO involved in that as well,
Mhm.
myself from the learning perspective of being able to share what it is that we're doing internally and also have
Mhm.
them share that with us. So just create a really, in addition to the consulting, really a reciprocal relationship, just
Mhm.
as organizations kind of in this business world together and
Mhm.
being good partners through and through, not just for, a particular sale or opportunity.
That makes sense. Now, as we're thinking and wrapping up and thinking about the future of generative AI internally for CDW and for your clients, what are you thinking about in the next couple of years, internally and externally, that you will be doing, how you will be working on integrating generative AI further?
Yeah, this is such a great question, and it's one that honestly keeps me up at night a bit
Mm.
because the technology is really changing so
Yeah.
rapidly that I feel like just as soon as we figure out where it's going and we get there, it's going to be different
Mhm.
already,
Yeah.
right? So I think one of the things that's just so important is really that appetite for continued learning and the
Mhm. Mhm.
curiosity about where it's headed and staying very, very much in tune with that. So,
Mhm.
myself, my team are incredibly active in different AI discussions within, whether it be the local Chicago market with other professionals and what they're
Mhm.
seeing, our technologists staying on the forefront with our manufacturer partners
Mhm.
in the industry, our clients, making sure that we're all talking about what is happening. But
Mhm.
really like anything else, doing the best we possibly can to have a longer term roadmap, right? I think one of the dangers that we always face is launching something like the AI Academy that we're going to launch and
Yeah.
thinking that it's done. This,
Mm.
if we do it right, will never be done, right? So
Yeah.
you have to really have discipline in the organization
Mhm.
around always having that hunger for learning where it's
Mhm.
going, ensuring that you are engaging with the leading thought partners
Mhm.
in the industry, in the technology. I think always bringing that curious mindset and also
Mhm.
critical thinking together to determine, okay, this is where it's going. How might that impact the environment that we're in? How might it impact the work that it is that we're doing?
Mhm.
So I think those are the things that are most important. And if we bring those to the table and keep those in the forefront, then we will always be right on the edge. It's the second that you stop and you think you know it all that you have already moved 50 feet
Mhm.
behind.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for sharing your expertise. That's been very helpful. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for asking.
And thank you to the audience for checking out another episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps others discover the show and helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, email me at gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com.